You know, the calendar is one of those things we just take for granted, right? It's the invisible grid that runs our entire lives. But what if that grid was totally broken? Well, today, we're jumping back to 45 BC to tell the story of one of the most important reboots in all of history, a change that literally rescued time itself from total chaos. I mean, think about it for a second. What if politicians could just decide to cancel your birthday? It sounds completely ridiculous, doesn't it? But for an ancient Roman, this wasn't some crazy hypothetical. Nope, it was a real possibility. Because in their world, time wasn't a constant. It was a political tool that could be bent, twisted, and even broken by whoever was in charge. So before we get to the brilliant fix, you really have to understand just how bad the problem was. And trust me, it was a big one. Before Julius Caesar stepped in, the Roman calendar wasn't just a little off, it was a complete and utter mess. This really lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you've got time as a weapon. I mean, imagine politicians literally adding days to the calendar to stay in power longer, or cutting a month short to rush an election they think they can win. The seasons drifted so badly that you might be celebrating a winter festival in the middle of what felt like autumn. It was chaos, pure and simple. And this had huge, real-world consequences. If you're a farmer, how on earth you know when to plant your crops? The calendar says it's spring, but the weather feels like summer. How do you plan religious festivals that are tied to specific seasons? The whole system wasn't just inconvenient, it was fundamentally broken, and it messed with every single part of Roman life. So yeah, clearly something had to change. And this is where the man with the plan steps onto the scene, Julius Caesar. So where did Caesar get this big idea? Well, the light bulb moment happened during his time in Egypt. Over there, he saw a totally different way of thinking about time. Not as some political plaything, but as something tied to the stars, to astronomy. He had this realization that time shouldn't be a political football. So he came back to Rome, got the smartest people he could find together, and set out to build a new calendar based on science, not on the whims of politicians. And so the stage was set for the great calendar reboot of 45 BC. This was a single moment that would completely change how we humans measure our own existence. Okay, so the core idea, the big shift, was all about this. The new calendar would be anchored to something that couldn't be argued with, something fixed and predictable, the solar year. No more politics, no more guesswork, just the simple, elegant rhythm of the Earth going around the sun. And the solution was just brilliant in its simplicity, a clean 3-step fix. First, lock the year at 365 days. Simple. Second, what about that extra quarter of a day that the solar year has? Easy. Add 1 leap day every 4 years to account for the drift. And third, and this was crucial, the lengths of the months were permanently fixed. No more messing around. Just 3 moves and bam, order was restored from chaos. And the impact of this change? It was absolutely staggering. This new system, the Julian calendar, was the standard in Europe for 1,600 years. Think about that. For over a millennium and a half, it gave a predictability to seasons, to holidays, to life itself that had never existed before. It was, without a doubt, one of the most successful and long-lasting reforms in human history. But look, this 2,000-year-old story isn't just some dusty old piece of history. Its legacy is literally all around you. It's on your wall, it's on your phone, it's in the palm of your hand right now. Just look at how close these are. The calendar we all use today, the Gregorian calendar, it's not a replacement for Caesar's system at all. It's a direct descendant. You can think of it like a software patch. See, the Julian calendar was just a tiny bit too long, by a few minutes each year. So in 1582, the Gregorian reform just added a slightly more precise leap year rule to fix that tiny, tiny drift. And that's really the bottom line. The very structure of our year, 365 days, the whole idea of a leap year, even some of our month names like July for Julius himself, all of it is a direct inheritance from that one ancient reboot. So in the end, Caesar's reform wasn't just about dates on a page. It was a victory for logic over chaos, for observable science over political games. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What modern system that we all deal with, all tangled up in its own complexity, is most in need of a reboot today?